We make the segue into the situation with Bill Belichick at North Carolina. Pat Welter has done a wonderful job. He's all over this story. He's a sports anchor, WRAL TV in Raleigh, North Carolina. Pat, how would you sum up what's happened the last couple of days here with Bill Belichick and North Carolina football?
Yeah, Dan, it's an honor to be on with you guys today. Happy birthday to Todd Fritz. And it's been a whirlwind. I felt like we were ready to break this story as recently as Friday, Dan, before the Clemson game. And we made a decision to wait a couple more days. And I think that was instrumental in allowing our reporting to kind of start the avalanche of information that's come out. I was able to speak to a lot of sources at the Clemson game. And that's when I really knew I had something, Dan, was when there was sources I've had relationships with for years on this story. But when I was just walking around meeting people with direct knowledge of the program that I had no relationship with, and they were immediately volunteering information to me, things like from a parent, my son has no idea what's going on. It is a complete mess. So that's what we've reported, and we're seeing the fallout of it since, and we're seeing UNC make direct action after some of the things that have come out.
Okay, but where are we today with this story?
So yesterday, kind of the development was we're coming off the statement, right? We have this statement that comes out late the night prior, and it's very brief, and it comes from Bubba Cunningham, and it comes from Bill Belichick, basically saying Belichick's committed to UNC football, and UNC athletics is committed to him. And this was on the heels, and based on conversations I had yesterday with sources, multiple levels, UNC decision makers, they wanted to calm the noise. They wanted to calm what they referred to as rumors. And those rumors were related to 247 Tar Heel Sports report about there being exit strategy conversations and other reports of Bill Belichick looking into triggering his own contract. Now, I spent basically all day on the phones trying to run this down. And I think it's clear. I think it's important to note that I was told by multiple levels of UNC decision makers and my colleague Brian Murphy that there were no exit strategy conversations, that there were no conversations of Bill triggering his own buyout. But I have to acknowledge, right, that does not mean necessarily that did not happen. Like, I'm not in those rooms. These are what these people are telling me. They're all telling me the same thing. So there's an obligation, I think, to report it in fairness. But I think you also have to acknowledge there's a gap there. We can only know so much. And I respect Andrew Jones, who had that report. So I think you have to just take the information and sort it out with what you know and what you want to believe.
Is Bill Belichick coaching North Carolina against Cal a week from Saturday?
I can't tell you. I just know that this is escalated day by day. And I would say hour by hour. To be quite literally, Dan, minute by minute. I'll tell you this morning, I sent an email to UNC Athletics trying to get confirmation of a player to see if he was still with the program. An hour later, the player I asked about has a graphic ready to go on social media. This just broke from running back Caleb Hood. After much thought, prayer, and discussion with my family, I've decided to retire from football. My journey at UNC has been special, and I appreciate my time here. You can look on social media if you want to see that full statement. That is the player I asked about because of a tip that I got there. Ironic in a way, Dan, because this season, if you remember that first game versus TCU, there was that one moment where everyone, all the hype, all the buzz, which was so real, right? This was incredible. Carolina drives down their first possession of the season. Caleb Hood scores the touchdown. The place goes bonkers. Skip Bayless had some tweet about it being amazing. I know. I was like, this guy's Nick Saban. I'm like, he's going to do it. They're doing it, and it has been downhill ever since. And it's fitting poetry that I think now Caleb Hood, after this week, is leaving the program. And obviously, I'm going to look into more as to why. But I think just kind of that paints a picture for you where we're at.
I don't know what role the media played in this, the national media, in hyping this up. It's Belichick, it's North Carolina, it's the ACC, it's not the SEC or the Big Ten. Certainly he can win more than Mac Brown does when Mac would win 6 games. Occasionally he'd win, a few more and go to a bowl game there. But locally, did you guys have the same expectations as maybe the national media had on Bill Belichick?
Yeah, we're all complicit in this in a way, right? And I really don't fault. My point of my story was never to fault the people that decided to hire Bill Belichick. I think you could certainly make an argument they should have vetted this more, right? Because they have access to that information that nobody else has during their hiring process. But yeah, I think we were all part of the hype, and how could you not be? This is an incredible story. This is the story of my lifetime. It's certainly the biggest thing I've ever covered. And I grew up in New England. I'm from Londonderry, New Hampshire. As a student at Emerson College, I got to go to the Super Bowl versus the Giants. I asked Bill Belichick a question at the Super Bowl. And then for me to come to Carolina, and then for him to end up here, and I'm covering him breaking news about his hiring process after Mac Brown was fired around Thanksgiving, which is really when this all started for me. It's been a trip. So I think, I've tried to just I tell people I'm trying to bring the same energy and the same passion and same disciplined reporting that I did to the hiring process, that I did to the excitement and to the fun, and what I'm doing right now to, I guess if you want to call it, downfall. But there's no agenda here. I'm just trying to tell people what I know. I've been covering this team for 4+ years. I know a lot of people, and people are very, very upset. And when you look at the results on the field, when you're going to be the highest paid employee in the state, and you're going to be one of the worst teams in all of college football. That's not me saying that, Dan. That is statistical fact. Completely uncompetitive in Power 4 games. 120-33 is the scoring differential. People deserve to know what's going on and why, and I think our reporting has shed a light on that.
If I gave athletic department a do-over and you keep Mac Brown, what would they do?
I think really it's diametric, right? The difference between Mac Brown and Belichick. And in some ways, that's what they were seeking because, Mac Brown came here, second stint in Chapel Hill, so respected, national champion, University of Texas, has had some of the best seasons Carolina football has ever seen, means a lot to this state, means a lot to this community, and he treated people as such. And he welcomed the media as such. But I think if you were going to criticize him, you look at the downfall of Mac Brown was James Madison last year, where they gave up 70 points. Inexplicable.
Yep.
Then they go on the road, lose to Boston College in if I'm allowed to say, a kind of uninspired performance at a minimum. And that was the nail in the coffin for Mac Brown and his time here. And, it was honestly probably time to move on. They had tapped out. So what they wanted to do was take another step. Everybody knows, in the world of conference realignment, you have to be all in on football. You can't be just a basketball school. So everything for Carolina was well-intentioned in bringing Bill Belichick in. It just has gone spectacularly wrong in ways that I don't know that anyone really could have foreseen.
Does Belichick have any media availability coming up aside from game days?
Yeah, it's been both convenient for him and maybe convenient for us reporting on this as well, that this came as a bye week. And it was a bye week before Clemson as well. And I think that's allowed me to do a lot of work because I've been working on this since the spring, Dan. That's when the tip came in. And I've been just running this down until I thought I had it. He has a media availability on Monday. I'm going to go. That's going to be an interesting experience for me. I'm certainly going to try to ask a question. I've been coordinating with UNC, trying to work with them throughout this. When I have information, I'm not breaking it until I run it by them for a chance to respond. And we're working on that right now. We have a story that we were ready to break yesterday. And just to give you an example of how strange this is, Dan, I am at the point now where I can't even assume the people I am texting and calling are the people that they say to be. That's all I can say. But at this point now, I am questioning, that's not the level we are at, because inside the building in Carolina, they know there's a leak. They're trying to find it. And I am kind of ears and eyes wide open to really everything and anything at this point. But I can tell you that our reporting directly led to the suspension of assistant football coach Armand Hawkins, and our continued prying into that story led to the statement and the official confirmation from UNC on his suspension yesterday afternoon. And there's a key piece in their statement that they say he will remain on leave as the Department of Athletics further investigates other potential actions detrimental to the team and university. Those are what we are looking into. So that's all I can share at this moment. But I think
you have something pending.
There's more stories to come.
Okay. Good luck with that. And trust your gut, trust your instincts, but man, nail it down.
Yeah,
nail it down, because this is serious stuff. But that's why we do this. When you get these opportunities, go for it.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that, and this means a lot being on here with you. You're one of the reasons I do this, so I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Pat. Good luck. That's Pat Welter, WRAL TV sports anchor, Raleigh, North Carolina. Yeah, all of a sudden you get a tip, then you get in, and then all of a sudden you're in, and then you start to find out more and more, and that's when people start questioning your reporting. You're local. Why aren't you on our team? Why don't you support the team? Like, there's a lot of things that go on when you do local reporting, especially at a university, whether it's a high-end basketball or high-end football. Hey, we're all in this together. Why are you reporting negative stuff? But you got to hold true to what you're doing, and hopefully Pat has that opportunity.